Hello frequencies, welcome to Aspirants Frequency channel. This is a series of economic survey video which we are posting from a chapter wise uh, with one pager notes, that is consolidating the whole chapter into a single page, uh, segregating into the concepts, data, organization and the reports, then the schemes which are mentioned in this chapter alone. Those who are new to the channel, kindly watch the previous videos and let's get into the chapter. Today in this chapter we are going to see the climate change and the energy transition. The concepts which are discussed here are the trade-off. That is, trade-off is generally means when there is increase in one component, there will be a subsequent decrease in the other component. There will be a offsetting. That is, when there is an economic growth, increase in economic growth, there will be a reduction in the environment. That is, there is a degradation of the environment. That is the trade-off. The trade-off should be reduced concerning the environmental programs, which also maintaining the economic growth and development in concern. Then the low carbon development, that is reducing the emission, at the same time economic development which also be focused. Then the coal bed methane, carbon capture, utilization and storage, coal beneficiation, gasification. This is some of the concepts discussed for the reducing the carbon emission, for achieving Paris Agreement and reducing the temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2 degrees Celsius. Coal bed methane is, there is, for example, consider there is an area where there is a coal in the underground, and the coal area where there is a huge gap which is filled with the take an example like there is a methane. There is methane filled with. Extracting this methane from the coal bed area is the coal bed methane. Then the carbon capture, utilization and the storage, that is we are capturing the carbon, we are utilizing the carbon, then we are storing the carbon. That is, for example, there is a factory, there is carbon emission. Here we are fitting a filter and we are capturing the carbon, and sometimes we are utilizing the carbon. Utilization, for example, carbon can be used for dry ice, then research purposes and other purposes where we are utilized. Further, after utilization, there is remaining carbon which can be storage in the underground sea or the existing coal mines or mineral mines, where the excessive carbon is getting pumped into the underground and gets stored, thus reducing the carbon emission. This is the carbon capture, utilization and storage. Then the coal beneficiation, for example, consider there is a coal. The coal has also the moisture content. We are reducing this moisture content by beneficiation, so that there will be a high efficiency of coal. This is the coal beneficiation process. Then the gasification process, that is, instead of burning the coal, we are letting the coal burning and then producing energy by reducing the steam and steam, running the steam through generator, and we are producing electricity. This gasification means we are crushing the coal into minute granules, then we are mixing it with another catalytic compounds, then we are burning it, which produces gases. These are called as syngases. These gases are then extracted and then burnt for energy production. Thus we are reducing the carbon emission directly. This is the gasification process. If you want, you can further research in these topics for extra processes. Then the RTC supply, then that is the round the clock supply. That is, when we are going into renewable supply, we have a intermittency drawback. That is, for example, consider there is a solar. We get solar energy only in the daytime, we can't get in the night time. That is the intermittency graph. That is, the energy supply cannot be produced round the clock, or that is 24/7 we cannot get the energy supply. To match this demand with the renewable storage system, that is, during the energy harvesting period, that is during the daytime, we will store more energy in the storage system, and during night time we will use the energy from this storage system, thus providing round the clock energy supply through renewable storage systems. Then the SMR reactors, that is the small modular reactors, which are producing to ready-made reactors compared to the conventional nuclear reactors. These nuclear reactors are produce energy around less than 300 megawatt electrons. so that it can be easily ready-madely produced, transportable easily, and low infrastructure and infrastructure initial cost, thus reducing the carbon emission instead of other coal based or fossil fuel based energy burning. Then the carbon offsetting is a concept where that is offsetting, you are offsetting a process. That is, consider an area a country A, where you have burnt around some 100 ton of carbon dioxide. For this you have to do an activity in your area, but instead of doing here, you are going to a country B, and you are doing an afforestation activity and providing electricity, solar through renewable energy to the developing country. That is, you are offsetting your emission in one area to the other area. You are just compensating the losses in other area. Then the COP28 outcomes, these are the outcomes like the global stock take, that is stocking the process, that is the global stock take is just simply the targets or the path which we are going for the achieving the Paris targets. That is globally what the countries are doing and what are it is like enumerating thus the countries are going in the right path, right track to achieve the sustainable development goals or the Paris agreement or the carbon reduction intensity. Then the loss and damage fund for the developing countries and the small island development states. Then the global climate resilience. These are some of the outcomes of the COP28 of UNFCCC. Then the data organization, let's come to the data organization and the reports. This is some of the basic goals like NAPCC, Panchamrit and INDC, which this all we have seen in the previous video. Kindly do check out the previous video of chapter 5. Then the G7 countries, or the major economic power who decides these are the developed countries through industrially and financially, so which has an obligation of helping to the developing states and the island nations for carbon efficiency, economic growth, and also development. The emission sectors in India, the emission is majorly done in the energy sector, then the agriculture sector, then industrial sector, then the waste sector. This is the data is very important because 70% of the more than 75% of the emission comes from the energy sector, the coal emission, coal burning, then the fossil fuel burning. So that we have to take carbon emission methods, reducing carbon emission methods like afforestation, or moving to ethanol fuel, ethanol blending, and hydrogen vehicles, EV vehicles. These are the points where we can use in the main sensor. Then the global climate risk index released by the Green Watch. Then the energy demand. At 2047, India is aiming for a Viksit Bharat, that is a developed nation status. At that time, we will be having an energy demand of multiplied by 2.5 times more than the today's demand. So that we need to augment this energy demand through renewable resources. This can be a point. Then the coal gasification. We have seen here the definition how the coal gasification process is done. India has set a target of 100 million ton of coal gasification by 2030 for obviously its carbon emission method. Then the Solar Energy Corporation of India, it is the regulator. It is a regulator or a regulatory organization or corporation for the solar projects which India mostly take upon, like the Solar Ghar Mujli Yojana, then the solar power program, mega solar power programs which are producing the solar energy. Then the Kabil Khanij Videsh India Limited, it is a public limited company which carries out the process of identification, exploration, acquisition, and mining at offshore countries of critical minerals. We are exploring the critical minerals for our semiconductor industry and semiconductor industries and the solar photovoltaic cells and other industrial purposes. Then the mineral security partnership is a partnership between 23 countries for the critical minerals. Then the global critical mineral outlook is an data or report released by the International Energy Agency. It this report details about the geographical concentration of critical and rare earth minerals. It is how much of amount of critical minerals are present in the geographical areas. For example, when we consider South America, we have the lithium and bauxite deposits. Then Australia also we have a high lithium concentration deposits. Then China we have bauxite deposits. These are some of the minerals which are dispersed in the geographical area. It's given by in this report. Then the carbon market institutions in India, the carbon market is not much developed compared to the European or Western countries, but we are moving in the right step for developing a carbon market. In India, the governing body of the carbon market is the National Steering Committee. Then the administration is done by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Then the trade regulator, that is carbon market trade, is done by the Electricity Regulatory Committee. Then the registrar is the Grid Controller of India is the registrar. These are some like it can be asked in the prelims questions. It can also be used in mains answers in somewhere, but focus would be on here on the prelims aspect. Then the Kyoto Protocol mechanisms are these are also the same carbon market mechanism which is followed in the EU, European Union nations. That is the Clean Development Mechanism, then the joint implementation, then the international emission trade. Clean development mechanism is that is producing a clean fuel, that is which gives a certified emission reduction target. For example, if you are doing an emission less than the target provided, then the remaining emission target will be given a certificate of emission reduction. You have a certificate which can be traded in the carbon areas, where those countries, those companies which have emitted more than that level, so that you can trade with the emission certificate. Then the joint implementation is also like the emission reduction units between the developed nations. The developed nations between them can use the emission reduction unit. Then the international emissions and emission trade is the assigned amount units. That is, you have assigned a particular amount. That is, this is the level you can emit. More than that, you have to trade the carbon market certificates. These are some of the data and reports mentioned. Then the schemes like the National Action Plan on Climate Change consists of 9 missions, like the National Mission for Agriculture, National Solar Mission, National Water Mission, National Mission for Sustainable Habitat, National Mission for Sustaining Himalayan Ecosystem, National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency, Green Hydrogen Mission. These are the missions on the National Action Plan for Climate Change. Then the PAT is the Performance, Achieve and Trade Scheme, which is basically the carbon market trading scheme, which India is introduced through performance, achieve and trade. For example, you have a limit of emission limit. This is the emission limit for a company. Thus the company emitted less than this level, so the remaining level, this level can be achieved by performing the lower emission. You can achieve this target and you can trade the remaining target through carbon trading mechanism. This is what India is getting nowadays. Then the PM Krishi Sinchai Yojana for the irrigation efficiency development. Then the National Institute of Climate Resilience Agriculture is developed under Indian Center for Agricultural Council for Agricultural Research. What basically it does is it anticipates, prepare, adopt and absorb and recover climate resilient agriculture practices through agroforestry, soil and water conservation. Then the Amrit Dharohar program is the Ramsar Convention of wetland sites. Ramsar designated wetlands as a concern under the Amrit Dharohar. Mission Sabagita is also the wetland conservation program. That is, through wetland conservation we can also have a sub components like livelihood generation, then the tourism, then the biodiversity conservation. These are some of the additional activities that are done under the mission in the name of wetland conservation. along with wetland conservation. Wetland mitras are those people who are engaged in the wetland conservation, like women, self-help groups, then the civil society organization. These are known as the wetland mitras. Then PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, which is basically the solar rooftop program for each and every household for decentralizing the solar program instead of concentrated in a single area and dispersing the energy, which significantly reduces the burden on the government and energy demand since it is decentralized. Then the national offshore wind energy policy, it is an offshore policy that is in the oceanic areas where we have a great wind influence, where we can set uh, windmills in the offshore area so that we can get so that we can have a reduced land burden. If we are producing the windmills in land area that is onshore, we have to compensate this area. It requires a large area and it costs higher burden on the government, so that we are focusing on the offshore wind energy policy. Then the green hydrogen mission, it includes several subcomponents. Some of the main components of the site: strategic intervention for green hydrogen transition, that is providing incentives for green hydrogen production and manufacturing capacity. Government is providing incentives for the companies. Then the SHIP, which is the strategic investment program, strategic hub for investment partnership. That's basically the public-private partnership between the companies and the government for enhancing the green hydrogen production. The pilot projects are done. These are the keywords like the mnemonics where we can use for remembering the green hydrogen mission targets. Pilot projects are carried out for R&D projects and setting up green hydrogen hubs and stations. Then you should also know the difference between green, blue, and gray hydrogen, which is a prelims aspects questions. Kindly do comment what is the difference between the green and blue hydrogen. ECPC is the Energy Conservation Building Code under the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, where the Bureau of Energy sets energy conservation measures for commercial and also sometimes residential buildings, so that they can use, for instance, they can purchase a particular quantity of energy from the renewable areas, so that there will be energy conservation. It also uses like the labeling program, that is Sunil labeling program, that is using star rated 5-star rated appliances, which reduces the energy demand, which also includes this. Then the life program, that is lifestyle for environment initiative, mission life program given by our honorable PM in the climate change program for initiating lifestyle changes, that is living a simple life, reducing consumption, thus reducing the energy demand and reducing carbon emission, thus living a sustainable life for environment. Then the Saubhagya mission is the rural electrification program. Then the sovereign green bonds with green deposits. These are some of the financial instrument for green program developments, that is obviously environment development program. Then the SEBI also has the ESG norms, that is environment and social governance norms, which is prescribed for the companies so that they can take up corporate social responsibility activities for improving the environment and climate change. Then the BRSR report, that is the business responsibility and sustainability report, is released by SEBI, which includes some top 1,000 companies and their ESG, how they stick to the ESG norms and their ranking, the BSR report. Then the PSL rules, priority sector lending laws. Then the green credit program. Green credit is nothing but it is equal to the carbon credit, that is in carbon we trade the carbon emission. In the green credit we are like we are doing afforestation activities in an area and considering trading this activity through green credit program. It is done by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. program is implemented by the Forest Department in association with the Indian Council for Forest Research and Education. Then EcoMark is a like labeling program where when we buy the products, we have an EcoMark product which will boost the green products consumption and manufacturing and production. Then some of the international initiatives for climate change are the International Solar Alliance in bilaterally announced by the France and India for infusing solar projects in the lower developing states and the small island development states. Then the one sun, one world, one grid. It is a connectivity program introduced by UK and India. That is, for example, you are in UK, that is Europe, and we have India here. Okay, India here. So in India we produces through windmill, we produces 100 gigawatt of consider we have some amount of energy. We have to transfer this energy to UK, Europe through grid connectivity, because the tropical countries get more sunlight and they are harvesting more renewable energy compared to the Mediterranean and the polar countries. So we are connecting the whole world through grid. So we are transferring the renewable energy. At the same time, the renewable energy production country also gets monetized. Then the climate disaster resilient initiative, then the lead IT scheme for between Sweden and India are done for the climate change initiative. Then some of the keywords for the intro and conclusion are low carbon development pathway instead of choosing the carbon emission. Then the mission, using a mission mode approach for achieving a target or goal. Then the viability gap funding, which is provided by the support provided by the government for the remaining gap of financial incentive for boosting the climate finance. Then the phasing in of renewable or phasing out of coal. That is, phasing in means we are slowly integrating or aggravating the renewable energy, and phasing out slowly moving away from the coal energy usage. Then the slow onset events. These are some of the slow onset events due to the climate change or the sea level rise, biodiversity loss, food and water security are getting reduced. This is some of the slow onset events. Then the supercritical technologies are like supercritical technology. In this sense, here it is mentioned that at critical technology, that is product which exists both in the liquid stage and the gaseous stage at the supercritical temperature. This is known as the supercritical temperature. That is the product exists at both the liquid phase and the gaseous phase. So this is the supercritical temperature, and the technology which is producing this supercritical temperature are the supercritical technologies. The emission intensity, which you obviously know. Then the sustainable and mindful consumption for energy usage. Then the long-term low emission development strategy for reducing the global emissions. That's it for the video. I hope you get at least some information from this video. Kindly do check out other videos. See you in the next chapter. Thank you.